Hi. So I haven't really advertised this live. It was like a more, spontaneous thing. So I'm not sure how many of you guys will be here. But I just wanted to talk about, the current transits, Uranus going into Taurus, Mars going into Aquarius, and all of that. Hmm. Let me share this on my Facebook. Okay. Wow, interesting sounds. It's like a song. Okay. So if you guys can see this, let me know. Say something. Can you see me? It's my first live stream and I'm not sure if it's working. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Let me know. Yeah, I see somebody like this, so probably there are people who can see me and everything is working. Okay, let me pull up a chart to see the planetary transits and I'll talk to you guys about that. 1 second. Okay, so in today's world and in my part of the world, I see that Venus and Moon are in Gemini currently. And the Sun and Mercury are in Taurus still. And then we have Mars freshly entered Aquarius and Ketu, the South Node, is also there. Then Saturn is in Capricorn in its own sign. Jupiter is in Scorpio. The North Node is in Leo. So at the first glance, we have a mix of all the elements. We have a fire element. We have there the North Node. And we have, well, that's the only embodied, that's the only graha that is in a fire element, and it's not even an embodied element. So I guess there is less fiery things happening in the world. Oh, hi, Harry. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Yay, it's working. Yeah, so the energy is not so fiery as it was like a couple of weeks ago. I mean, only the North Node is in a fire sign. Then there's a lot of, you know, the Venus and Moon are in an air sign in Gemini. Both these planets like being in Gemini. It's a friend sign for them, but unfortunately, Moon is starving Venus. What does that mean? Well, if a person was born today and they would have this planetary combination, their needs, so fulfilling their immediate needs, would get in the way of them actually interacting in a balanced social manner and fitting in socially and having like a balanced relationship, because the moon is our needs and Venus is how we interact with others. Is it's also like the, you know, the practicality of relationships, and especially for a man, because Venus is the natural significator for the spouse in a man's chart, and the moon is a natural significator of the mother in a man's chart. So maybe men who have this combination find that their, I don't know, their need for maternal love and, I don't know, their relationship with their mother may be getting in the way of their relationship with their spouse. Yes, I'm curious if any of you have this combination, Moon and Venus, in your natal chart. But at the same time, you have to take into consideration that both Venus and the Moon are in Mercury sign, which is a friend for both of them. So it delights, it helps find options, it helps find solutions. So Mercury is the planet that always lets us, you know, search for a better way to do things, to improve things. So it's not so tragic. If they were both starved, like, or in an enemy sign, so it would be a lot more difficult. But Venus and Moon is Gemini is not that bad, because there's this silver lining of the Gemini of making plans and finding the right solution. Okay, so let's see what else is happening in the sky. We have three planets in Earth signs. We have the Sun, Mercury, and Saturn in Earth sign. The Sun and Mercury in Taurus, and Saturn in Capricorn. Sun in Taurus is in a natural enemy sign because Venus is an enemy to the Sun. Mercury in Taurus is in a natural friend sign. So Mercury is feeling better than the Sun, because at the same time Mercury is being delighted and agitated by the Sun. So it's a bit of a mix. So there's some small frustrations for Mercury, but I think there's more delight and more inspiration coming from being joined with the Sun. This combination of Sun and Mercury in the same sign is called Buddha Aditya Yoga in Vedic texts, and it's a combination that makes one skillful and intelligent. This is a combination that you will see a lot in people's charts because, you know, Mercury joins the Sun like very often. You will find it like 80% of the time together with the Sun. So it's a nice combination, but of course, if it's on an angle, it's even nicer. And if you know, the Sun is a Yoga Karaka in the person's chart, it gets even nicer. And at the same time, you have to take into consideration that the Sun is the universal soul, the universal Atman, the inspiration. So planets that are with the Sun, they are at the same time helped because they are pushed towards their path by the Sun and by making some sacrifices, since the Sun is also a separating factor. But at the same time, okay, so it's a separating factor, so they have to do some, these people have to do some sacrifices, but it's like a noble sacrifice, a sacrifice that you want to do, as compared to the sacrifices required by Saturn, where usually you cling on to the things and you don't want to let go, although it's been coming for a long time. Like a chronic disease, it's been building up and building up, but you still don't want to let go. But the sun asking us to sacrifice some things is we know that it's a purifying element, and it's for the greater good. So in the chart that I'm looking at from my place where I am, let's see where the ascendant is. The ascendant is in Scorpio. No, it's not in Scorpio. It's in Cancer. So the Sun and Mercury are in the third in Taurus. Usually, we want malefics in the third because it's an upachaya house. It's a house of difficulty. It's a house of learning. So it's a house of making effort, of competitiveness. So right now, we can consider the time that I started this live stream as a prashna, just like you can consider the time of your birth a prashna. It's like a question that you're answering for the universe. Your life is an answer, and that is your own chart. That is the solution that with your life you are bringing to the world. So we can also consider the time that we started this live stream as a prashna, like what is happening right now. So the Sun and Mercury being in the third, I see as a positive thing, although the Sun is starved. Malefics in the third, they help overcome difficulties, and if we had any technical issues, I guess they would be like easily solved. Yes, Mercury, wherever, in whichever house Mercury is in, it tends to make the best of the situation and helps find the solution, especially a well dignified Mercury like this in Taurus. So, why is the Sun in Taurus not feeling so wonderful? Well, the short answer is okay, because it's in a natural enemy dignity, but let's consider why that is. Okay, so the planets are like the active forces, the conscious forces that work in the universe, and the rashis, the sign, are the unconscious forces. So the sun being inspiration and drive and just moving forward, and a more a masculine energy, right? That's moving forward and not really wanting to be held down, and also it's consistent. But then Taurus is a feminine Rashi. It's ruled by Venus. It shows the need for stability. It shows the need for material fulfillment, for material security, for comfort. So, when the sun is in the sign of Taurus, it's not like a bad, horrible thing, like you feel horrible, but you feel that your inspiration and your need to go forward is a bit slowed down by the materials, the need for material security and pleasures and comforts, and enjoying all the five senses, because all the five senses are in Taurus. You have like this part of the face is Taurus, and you have the sight, you have the hearing, you have the smell, you have the taste. So Taurus is a very sensual and sensory sign. So this is when the sun is here. The sun is feeling best in Aries, and Aries is the top of our heads, is where our brains are. Our focus is like, okay, we have to do this, we have to move forward. But when the sun goes here in Taurus, it's more like, okay, I'm just gonna stay a while and enjoy all these pleasures that my sensory skills can bring me. So that's why the sun is not so happy in Taurus, because the sun just wants to move forward, but Taurus it wants stability. In Gemini, the Taurus sign is considered as a quadruped, and quadrupeds like stability. Okay, there's Pammy saying, funny, my sun and Mercury are in Taurus in the third. and with the south node. Oh, interesting. That's very interesting. So, yes, the south node there can create a bit of issue with you enjoying all these sensorial things, because the south node is where you felt a lot, where you invested a lot in your past lives, and because then Mercury is shamed, because if you have two malefics and one of the nodes, I mean not two malefics, if you have a malefic, a planet, and one of the nodes, the planet is shamed, so you have a shamed Mercury. I also have the same shamed Mercury, so there is no shame in having a shamed Mercury. So for you, Pammy, I guess you have this past life background on investing a lot into material security and like fighting for it, and working in teams and working with siblings because it's a third. But wherever the south node is, you have this underlying disappointment, and you feel like you have to move forward. And for you, you have to move from the more material security, which is Taurus, towards the north node, emotional security, with the ninth. So you have to move from something more practical and more earthy to something more philosophical that will also help you emotionally, I think. Yes, but that was just in her chart. Now, if we look at like this moment's chart, we have the south node in Aquarius with Mars. And this is an air sign. There's a lot of air emphasis at the moment: Venus, Moon, Mars, South Node. So air signs are social signs. They're all about interaction. Gemini is like communication, like sharing, spreading your ideas practically. And Aquarius is communication with groups and more humanitarian pursuits. So Mars entering this, Aquarius with Ketu. Mars with Ketu, there is this saying in old Vedic text that Ketu gives the results of Mars. So on one hand, Mars and the South Node are working efficiently together because they have a similar vibe and a similar energy, like the drive, the drive of moving forward, because Mars is the general and Ketu is like the homeland army. But the frustration here is like maybe this need for taking care of conflicts at home, because Mars and Ketu, it's like inner conflicts and things like that. And that can get in the way of moving forward and doing things in Leo, because Aquarius is all about groups, and the opposite sign where the North Node is all about the self. It's a dharmic sign, Leo. It's all about the fire of inspiration and moving away from the comfort of the group, because the groups can be comfortable, and moving towards fulfilling your own path and creating your own kingdom, which is Leo, and pursuing the fire of your inspiration. So it's a double-edged sword always with the nodes, because anyway they take you on a ride, and it's difficult to anticipate like exactly what will happen. But this is like the energy, the underlying energy that's around them. So Saturn is really strong. It's in its own sign in Capricorn. In this chart that I cast here, it's in the seventh. So the seventh is the public. So my public, like you guys right now for me, because it's the chart that I cast, you're like Saturn. Maybe you're more reserved, you're more cold, not talking so much, but you're in a really good dignity and you have a very high active strength, because Saturn in the seventh has the highest amount of Dikbala, so very capable. Let's see. What else can we say about Saturn in Capricorn? Yeah, well, Saturn in Capricorn is going to go on for the next 2.5 years, so that's not something really new and current. The Mars is in Aquarius is more what I want to emphasize. So this Mars in Aquarius, again, if it brings out some energy that has to do with groups. So some, and also some past energy because it's with the South Node. So some past energy that we invested in humanitarian work or working with groups that's coming forward and it's emphasized. I think that's very interesting. Mars is not really forming any bad aspects with anything. So, yes, it's in the sign of Saturn, but it's not so bad, really. Let's see, Jupiter is in Scorpio, so that's the only planet in a water sign. Jupiter in Scorpio feels good. It's in a friend sign. It's ruled by Mars. And yeah, Jupiter in Scorpio is like, okay, I have the energy to see my bigger purpose, like the bigger fulfillment I can achieve, and I have the energy to fulfill that purpose, to move forward. So Jupiter in Scorpio, really great. So again, I want to say the lack of fire in today's chart, in the moment chart, it makes for more like a mellow energy. Even if Mars is there with the South Node in Aquarius, it's not a really like explosive energy like it was when the Sun was in Aries, Mercury was in Aries, the Moon was in a fire sign. No, when the volcanoes exploded, now it's a more mellow and underlying active force. Let me look at the card the card of the day for today, because I'm also curious. Okay, so today, one second, it's 17th of May. If you guys have any questions about today's transits or other astrological questions, let me know while I see today's card. Okay, so today's card is a Two of Diamonds. That's really nice. That's coming together with something practical. It can be a financial card. It also can be a moving card. It's a lunar card connected to the Empress in Tarot, the Two of Diamonds. I like it. I like today's energy. It's something concrete, something that fulfills your needs. Yes, you guys are quiet like Saturn, like I was saying, really. Let me see. Oh, and of course, we have to talk about Uranus. Uranus that just entered Taurus. So, the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, are very slow moving planets. Pemi, I appreciate that you're here and you just woke up. Sorry for putting you guys on the spot. Okay, so let me talk about Uranus while you guys are getting your coffees and whatnot. So, as I was saying, these three planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, they're very slow-moving planets. Their energies are more subtle. You can't really see it in your chart unless it's hitting like with a really strong aspect, a really tight aspect, one of your self factors, one of your self planets, your soul planet, or the sun, or even the other planets, but it has to be like a really tight aspect. So Uranus is the initiating energy. It has this reputation of being more eccentric, more erratic, more unpredictable. In Western astrology, Uranus, I mean, from what I studied in Western astrology years ago, they associate, the qualities of Uranus to the North Node because they both have this unpredictable nature. And they're both related to technology, like the new technologies. Actually, in Vedic astrology, because they don't really traditionally look at the outer planets, they look at technology more as Rahu, North Node, and things like that. But Uranus is really connected to technological development as well, because it relates to pioneering, to inventions, and Uranus is all about also breaking through, making breakthroughs, and also it's about originality and independent thinking and making you express what is unique and individual in your chart. 1 second. So Uranus changes sign like every 7-8 years. So that's why it's such an event now that it switched from Aries to Taurus. And it's interesting to look in your chart and see which Rashi from your ascendant is Taurus. Like, is it the second from your ascendant, the third, the fourth, the fifth? For me, Taurus is the seventh. So the seventh is the relationship with the public. It's also like partnerships, financial partnerships, or business partnerships, or romantic partnerships. So it can bring a lot of sudden changes in that, but also it can crystallize it. So with Uranus, what can you do? You can't do anything except express your your individuality. It has a solar quality as well, because the sun is also about individuality. So Uranus in Taurus is a kind of a tricky combination, because Uranus is a more unpredictable energy and Taurus is something stable, it's something receptive, it's something that likes a certain type of comfort. So Uranus in Taurus will bring maybe some eccentricity in expressing that comfort, and it will bring some unexpected manners to show these things. Just 1 second. Yes. Um, Taurus is also associated like geographically with villages, because every sign is associated to a place. For instance, Gemini is cities and Taurus is villages. So maybe there will be some world reinvention of villages, or things happening in villages across the world, because the outer planets bring shifts on a more universal, like, world consciousness, because these planets move so slowly that when they change something, or when they bring like a really tight aspect, a tight conjunction or trine or whatever, they really, you can see the effect. So I am expecting to see like a revival of villages around the world, because Uranus is there to energize them. And people may be moving back to villages and appreciating them more, instead of their fascination with other places. So if you guys have questions for me, don't be afraid to ask. It's interesting interesting, like if you have Uranus in your second house in your natal chart, you can have back and forth renunciate tendencies. That's a very interesting thing because I have that, and it's really true. And it's really important if you have Uranus in the 10th. If you have Uranus in the 10th, because it's like the 10th planet, the 1 to 9 are planets from the Sun to the South Node. The 10th can be related to Uranus, the 11th to Neptune, and the 12th to Pluto. So if you have Uranus in the 10th, that's a really emphasis on this planet in your chart. Okay, also if in your chart you have Uranus in the 4th or the 10th from one of the nodes, you know, the outer planets will cause a lot of big changes and a lot of shifts in your life. So compared to other people who don't have this combination, you will feel more strongly the impact of the outer planets if they are positioned in the 4th or the 10th from either of the nodes in your natal chart. So that's another interesting thing. What else? Okay, so yes, pioneering, energizing, something stable, because Taurus is a stable sign. It's a fixed sign. It's not about making progress, it's about sustenance. It's interesting because I think we could relate this energy of the movable signs to Uranus, I think, because they're more pioneering, like movable signs are pioneering. Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, and Libra. And then the fixed signs, Taurus, Scorpio, um, Leo, and Aquarius, they have a fixed energy of sustenance and like not really wanting to move so readily. And then we have the dual signs, which are Gemini, um, Sagittarius, Virgo, and Pisces. And if we look at the chart, we have, let's see the energy of the signs, whether they're more fixed, movable. Yeah, the energy is more fixed. You have Mars, South Node, Jupiter, Taurus, and the Sun in fixed signs. So yeah, the energy right now is more stable, more fixed, more introspective. Also with Mars, with the South Node is like going back past actions and evaluating past actions and things like that. Okay, if a person has Mars, Rahu in the 7th and Ketu, Venus in the ascendant, are you doomed in a long-lasting relationship? Ketu, Venus on the ascendant. Well, I don't think you're gonna be doomed with anything. I'm curious what the signs are. What is the sign of Mars and Rahu in the 7th? You know, with Ketu and Venus, and is the person a man or a woman? That's what I also want to know. Yes, of course, as with all of these questions, I would have to look at the whole chart, but you know, Venus and the South Node energy is one of, you know, this person is a very good diplomat, the person who has Venus with the South Node. And I guess it's more easy to get along with, but then you have the counterbalancing Rahu and North Node. And Rahu with the North Node can predispose the person to some dangerous situations. And also the opposition between Venus and Mars can also make a person like passionate. Okay, so it's a woman. Can you tell me the sign of the ascendant? Somebody is asking me what that somebody is called What Keeps Me Up at Night, which I like your name. What does the Five of Clubs represent? All the fives are changes. The Five of Clubs are, you know, changes of mind, changes of ideas. You're going through some changes in order to perfect your inspiration, your creativity. Okay, so Ketu, Venus in Virgo, and Mars and North Node in Pisces. Isn't that a fascinating combination and not easy? So, with Venus there on the ascendant and the South Node, that feminine quality of the person can be a bit more hidden. Um, because Ketu is a neutral planet and it hides everything it touches. So, also Venus is debilitated in Virgo, but at the same time it's debilitated in a friend sign, so it's a partial cancellation, and it's debilitated on an angle, so it's another partial cancellation. And again, if we look in the Navamsha and that Venus is in its own dignity, Mula Trikona or exalted, there's another cancellation of debilitation. So, it's not so bad. The person can still get fulfillment. But the trouble is that South Node, more than the dignity, because that South Node makes her doubt her capacity for fulfillment, her femininity. For instance, as I was saying, people who have Venus and the South Node are good diplomats because they invested a lot in Venusian activities in past lives. They have this sort of charm and inner elegance that exudes, especially on the ascendant. So they can be like more withdrawn, more to themselves, but also like when people look at them, they can see this inner grace. This is a combination that is supportive for people who are renunciates actually, but you have to look at other things in the chart to see as well. So this person needs to develop a divine romance, a relationship with the divine, because they will always not find enough satisfaction with human relationships. That doesn't mean they won't have relationships in their life, they won't have, but they need to realize that, okay, what is on earth cannot give me the most ultimate utmost satisfaction, because Ketu relates more to spirituality. It relates to ending a cycle. There's so many Ketu combination that make one very spiritual. So this person is spiritually inclined, and also she may have like interest in health and things like that. Thank you for your compliment, Ashkum. Okay, so I wouldn't say this person is doomed, but she will have a lot of disappointments if she will invest, if she will look at worldly relationships as a source of ultimate fulfillment. I think this is also like a passionate person. I mean, Ketu there can bring it down a notch, but you know. Okay, 1 second. I have more questions here. So, Pammy, I would have to look at her whole chart, and I wouldn't say anybody is doomed, but she would have some difficulties until she develops this divine romance. Wonderful. Yes. Okay, let's see. I have Uranus in the 6th in Sagittarius. I don't know what that represents. Okay, so Star Oasis. I wonder what the other planets are doing in your chart. Uranus in the 6th, it relates to maybe sudden changes in health. Do you have problems with your lower back, with your tailbone, things like that? Because that's Sagittarius. Maybe I think with Uranus there you would benefit from alternative medicine, like alternative therapies, like energy work and things like that. I think your health would benefit from that. Okay, Harry, what about Uranus opposing natal Uranus in Scorpio ascendant? Yes, I also have Scorpio ascendant Harry, and at the moment Uranus is in Taurus, so it's in our seventh house, so it's going to bring some changes to our relationship life. So, but it doesn't have to be erratic. Like if your relationship life was chaotic before, now it's gonna probably be crystallized, because Uranus brings the unexpected, and if you're used to a chaotic relationship life, now you will probably get a taste of something more stable. Okay, so Uranus is opposing your natal Uranus at the moment. So Star Oasis says, I do, thank you. Okay, I'm glad you do. Yeah, so Harry, it's all about relationships right now. It's all about seeing how you relate to the public, which is the seventh, or to your business partners or romantic partners. There may be sudden shifts, but there may be also like new ways to handle these relationships, like more new original ways that you haven't tried before. Let's see what else we have here. Resonant Yogi. Hi, Resonant Yogi. I've seen you commenting on my videos every now and then, and I remember your name because it's interesting. Okay, so Gemini say there are 2 planets in the 11th, 2 in the 12th, 1 in the 1st, and 2 in the 2nd. From the ascendant standpoint, the 2nd house Argala is blocked by the 12th. But from the 2nd, the 12th is the Argala. You're welcome, Harry. Okay. Let me get into the Gemini mindset, the left side of the brain, the logical thing. Okay, so 2 planets in the 11th, 2 in the 12th, 1 in the 1st, 2 in the 2nd. Second house Argala is blocked by from 2nd to 12th is the Argala. Yeah, I guess you are right. I'm gonna make a video on Argala, but and I'm gonna use your example, but I guess you are right, Resonant Yogi. Yes, I see what you're saying. So yeah, the planets that are forming that Argala. Yeah, but you have to. Yeah, I don't know. I have to see it in front of me as a chart. I'm gonna answer your question in a video, and I'm gonna talk about Argala more extensively. Ash Kum is asking, do you have a strong shani? Yes, Ash, actually my Saturn is on my ascendant, and I'm running Saturn Dasha right now. So I'm gonna stay like 5 more minutes, and then I'm gonna go. So if you have more questions, you can ask me, because I have to run. How does Jupiter in Ashwini perform? Well, I don't think any nakshatra is negative anywhere. You have to take it in the context. You have to look at it holistically. Like, I guess you have Jupiter in Ashwini, so that's why you're asking me. I don't know what else to tell you guys. Okay, I mean Jupiter is Kina, big and heavy, and Ashwini is light and quick. Oh yes, you mean that opposition. Oh, I like that. I guess it would be a more balancing of energies, like the Ashwini, the lightness of Ashwini will help Jupiter move faster. But nakshatras are working on an unconscious levels. The planets are the conscious forces, so the limbs of Vishnu's. The rashis are like the receptors, are the containers of the consciousness of Vishnu. So like the places, the arena where it takes place, and the nakshatra are, subtle forces that are fueling on a more unconscious level. So yes, I think your question is very interesting. The heaviness of the guru and this light and swift nakshatra. I guess it would be uncomfortable a bit for Jupiter at first because of its nature. But then again, I don't think this swiftness would be malefic or cruel towards Jupiter. Because, yeah, I mean, Jupiter is a Brahmin planet. I do not think that Jupiter would not adapt to this swift and lightness of this Ashwini nakshatra. Let's see. What do a Seven of Spades birth card mean? And thank you. Well, you have to look not only at the birth card, you have to look at the whole birth spread. So that's the seven embodied grahas from Sun to Saturn. That's Rahu and Ketu. That's the ecliptic, which is the 10th card. And then you look at the outer planets. You look at Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto to get the full picture of the chart. So, okay, this birth card shows like your inner energy, like the inner energy of what's happening. And every person who has a 7 as a birth card always will have ups and downs in their life, always. Like they will see like things getting broken and destroyed. I would have to see your other planets, but I wonder if you have like, if a as a 7 of spades person, you had like a lot of issues with your health, as the seven of spades is related to the falling tower in tarot. So things getting damaged, and the spades is the suit that relates to hard work and health, but also psychological development. So it's always like reaching some limitations at the 7, and trying to get past some egocentric tendencies, because the 7, if we get stuck there, we tend to victimize ourselves and oh my god, and not move forward. But once we work out these egocentric tendencies of getting fixated on our problems, on our complexes, on our health issues, maybe for a 7 of spades, then we can move forward and be self-fulfilled and have an inner, very satisfying inward journey at the 8 of spades. Okay, so Ash says, girls kind of come and go because this darn star, he's my 7th lord. But you should, you should look at other things in your chart before make such a definitive conclusion. But Jupiter influencing the 7th can also bring a lot of beautiful women in your life. Daniela, what do you use the Navamsha for in practice? What do you think its significance is besides marriage? Well, the Navamsha, I use it all the time for fulfillment with your life path, with your life purpose. So that's I think the main purpose of the Navamsha is, because not everyone gets married. So if somebody doesn't get married, you don't look at the Navamsha. You look at there to see how the planets get fulfilled. Do you look at your soul planet to see what career you might get into? Well, because the Swamsha is a very good career indicator. I mean, it's my top go-to career indicator. So you look at your soul planet in the Navamsha, the sign there, the planet it's joined with, the cusp, to see the fulfillment of your path, of what you're doing. And for a woman to see, if she's going to have a fulfillment with her marriage, you can look at their spouse factors in the Navamsha, you can look at the Darakaraka, and you can look at Jupiter as a natural significator for the man. But it's so much more than marriage. It's not limited to marriage. Okay, let's see what else. Pamela, what about Mars being your Darakaraka? Is your man going to be short and thin? Okay, Mars, Parashara says that is of average height. So Mars rules a short sign, which is Scorpio, and a tall sign, which is Aries. But Mars itself is said to be short, average height. So it's not going to be short. It's going to be of average height in the context of the culture they are born in. So short in Asia does not mean short in Europe. You have to look in the context of the culture. And yes, I guess he would be more on the thin side, like thin, but not thin like Saturn. It would be more like athletic thin. Like, okay. And thank you, Ash. You are very flattering today. Hello, Ashitaka. Okay. Let's see. You're welcome, Daniela. Dorota, Bianca. Can you talk about synastry? Do you do synastry? Yes, I do compatibility and I do synastry, but I'm gonna have to make like a whole video about that, a whole thing, because it's too much to talk about, and I have to go soon. If you have like a quick question to shoot at me, go now or forever hold your peace. Hello, Dan. Thank you very much. Thank you for the shout out. Yes. On Sunday, I'm going to be teaching a Cards of Truth class workshop. I'm going to be talking about how planets act in each of the cards, because I've been having these workshops, these webinars on Cards of Truth. And some people were asking me, who are more or less familiar with astrology, but what does this planet do? So I'm just going to go through the planets and what their significance can be in each of the cards. So if you want to join this webinar, you can email me. I'm going to post an announcement on my website as well. Okay, then, and what is planetary transits? Planetary transit is planets moving from one sign to another, and how that relates to your natal chart then. Okay, let's see. Dorota, Bianca, any thoughts on conjunctions of Rahu and Ketu for both people? Okay, so you mean they have a Rahu in the same sign? They're on the same path of developing that sign. If two people, I think it's very good in synastry when one person has a Rahu or Ketu in the opposite house or a sign of the other person's Rahu or Ketu, because where blah, blah, where one person has been is where the other person is going, so they can help each other with that. So for instance, if you have Ketu in the second house and your partner has Rahu in the 8th house, they can show you, if you have Ketu in the second house and your partner has Ketu in the second house, they can show you and you will show them how to develop that respective house, because you have a lot of experience with it. So I think that's a good thing. Okay, I think that's a very good thing, a person's Rahu on another person's Ketu. Because, they have experience where the other person lacks experience. So I think it's a good combination for development for both of these individuals. Cristiano Ronaldo. Thank you for the shout out. Yes. So such a random shout out from a trolley football player account. You're welcome, Dorota. Okay, you guys, so I think this is about it for this first live stream. Thank you for being here. Thank you for interacting with me. I look forward to do more of these more regularly. And Resonant Yogi, I'm not forgetting your question, but I have to get in a more left brain mode and just put it on paper, Jaimini style. Okay, thank you, Daniela. Thank you. What keeps me up at night? Thank you, Dorota, Dan, and everyone that was present. Pammy, thank you. Thank you for being supportive. So, I'll see you guys soon. Dorota, can you do more Prashna videos with Corey? I don't know, Dorota. I'll ask him. Maybe. Bye, Ash. Bye, Dorota.